far as the Four Horsemen go, I understand the name was just a spur of the moment interview where
Yeah, it wasn't some creative idea. Well, why don't we take this bunch of guys together and we'll call them the Four Horsemen? I wouldn't like that. We were doing syndicated TV for Crockett, and then we were doing TBS, the 605 show, recording it every Saturday morning, and then we would get on the plane and go somewhere and work that night. And we were doing 2 hours of that. And that particular week, Flair was the world heavyweight champion. Ole and Arn were world tag team champions, and Tully was the national champion. And you know, we had things to promote, and then there was other commercial spots where we didn't have anything or any particular interview that had to be slotted into the program. And so somebody said, well, why don't you guys, you got all the championship belts, all the gold, all the bragging rights, all of you go out there and just mention, you can't talk about your matches this coming week, but just, you know, mention that you guys are going to be, and, you know, and then we could plug the towns that were going to be that following week. Like if we were up in Michigan, Ohio, or wherever we were going to be. So while we were all out there with all the gleaming gold and all the bragging rights, when the mic came to Arn said, I want you people at home to take a good look at your screen. And he said, never have you seen a collection of individuals with all of the gold, all of the bragging rights, and total dominance over the industry that to draw a comparison, you'd have to go back in history to the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Just a throwaway thing. He didn't tell us what he was going to say. Maybe he probably didn't even know what he was going to say. Just Arn was very, very creative, very, very unique in his interview approach. Well, the next time any group of us went out there, it started in the studio. Four Horsemen, Four Horsemen. And a lot of times it was kids from Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and they're holding up this. It aired that night. We go to the town that night, and the fans are yelling, Four Horsemen, Four Horsemen. So this went on for like a couple, and it kept growing. And a week or two went by, and Jimmy Crockett just said, what's this Four Horsemen thing? I said, Jimmy, he said, I think you better start paying attention, because it just started as something that Arn mentioned as a throwaway line, but it stuck with the people. And they're driving this thing. And every town we're going to, we're hearing Four Horsemen, and the symbol of what came to be known as a symbol of excellence. And that's how it started. And then we got onto it where we kind of accepted that identification. And man, it grew and grew and grew. And it was, now I look back and it's the pinnacle of my career.
So was the plan all along you guys were going to be a group, and then when the fans just jumped on the Four Horsemen, that was the name, or did it kind of happen that you guys became a group due to the fans?
Yeah, we then accepted the identity, and the thing is, there were very few matches where all four of us were out there in one match, because Rick would defend the world title as a single, Ole and Arn would often defend their titles in a tag title match, and then Tully, and he was actually initially the only one that I managed, he was a national champion. So even when each of us went out, the people would yell, Four Horsemen, Four Horsemen. So it kind of became, I don't know, they struggle a lot of times to say, well, I don't know what you were. You're not really a stable, and you weren't really a tag team, even though on rare occasions you would team together. But you were, the word that seems most common that I hear is faction. You were a faction, your group, and become what many say is the best known faction in the history of the business.
And you guys were all close friends outside of the ring?
Yeah, and I think that had a lot to do with it too, because a lot of times there's even tag teams. Two guys could be tag, even sometimes brothers who can't stand each other. With the four of us, when we were out on the road, we would travel together just because we enjoyed each other's company and being around each other. And Flair was fun to be around, to start with. And then if we were home and had a day off or something, it's not uncommon for one of us to have something at their house and invite the other guys. So it's like, you'd think when you're with somebody on the road so much that you would want to, man, the last thing when I have a day off is, I don't want to see these guys, but we generally enjoyed being around each other.